Not that I've got FOMO or anything, but Chad, you've already ridden the 1300 GS before pretty much anyone else from the UK.
Yeah.
What's it like?
Really, really impressive in ways that I didn't think it would be. I think that's the most...
Never had that written in my school report.
Have you not?
No.
Easily distracted.
Yeah.
No, so it's like, on paper it's lighter and it's got more power, and which we've got on many press launches, and you go, it's a little bit lighter, it's got a little bit more power, blah, blah, blah. And then when you get on it though, it feels a lot lighter. And when you put it in the dynamic mode, it feels like a lot more power.
No way.
You could ride the old one fast, the 1250. It was very good at being able to be ridden fast, and it didn't feel fast when you rode it fast. But this has definitely moved things on.
Yeah, so it's still a GS, but it's far less intimidating than it used to be. It feels like the dimensions have kind of shrunk, and it feels less intimidating and a lot lighter and sportier. But capacity's gone up, but the size has gone down.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, so it's a bigger engine. Well, it's a 1300cc, yeah.
When you look at, like, when you actually look what they've done, most people haven't got past the styling at this stage. Most people have looked at the pictures and gone, I love it, I hate it.
Yeah.
But when you look into the details, I've been through all of the sort of technical presentation stuff ahead of riding it, and the engine is completely revamped. They've moved the gearboxes in a different place.
Yeah.
The architecture of the entire bike is completely different.
But it's like, I think it's just under 4 kilograms saving on the engine alone, then another 6 kilogram or a little bit more on the shaft drive and the gearbox, and the engine is higher, it's smaller, and when you look at it, the pistons are perfectly aligned.
They're not wonky like they always have been.
No, because one cam chain is there and one cam chain is there, or the other way around.
Yeah.
So it looks symmetrical, and you look down and you go, GS. Clocks look GS, and you sit on it, and I can touch the floor comfortably, even without the new suspension that lowers it by 30mm. And then when you set the cruise control, same, little slide across toggle, and then it's adaptive.
Oh, now it does the radar.
Yeah. But it's the same
feeling.
Same feeling, and you just move the little switch across, press it forward, and then somebody comes on your inside, and a little light comes on in the mirror, and you're like, oh yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
And then you go, and the screen comes up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's an accessory, isn't it? That's not stock.
A lot of it is accessory. The amount of accessories is absolutely mind-blowing. But let's be fair, the 1250 is a great bike. You've ridden it a lot of miles. It's still the best-selling adventure bike, yeah? So if BMW had gone, here's a new GS, it's got adaptive radar, it's got blind spot detection, and it's got electric screen, they'd have all gone, But what they've done is everything.
And do you think it's still enough of a GS? Because the GS has never been the fastest, the lightest, the best handling. It's
or
never
the most
been
attractive.
No, it's never been the best at any one area, but it's always been the most popular. Do you think it's still gonna hit that sweet spot for the majority of people, where it's got the most usable power, it's fun to ride, it's nice to ride, it's comfy? Do you think it still keeps that?
I think it still keeps it because it's not any faster and more fun than a KTM and a Multistrada. So it's moved up, but it's not trying to compete with those.
No.
It's still comfortable, it's still practical, it's still beautifully made. Like the calipers just look factory.
Yeah.
The finish of the bike and the amount of accessories that you can tilt the seat, lower the seat, higher. So there's multiple seats you can buy, multiple bars you can buy, multiple pegs you can buy, multiple colours, the list is almost endless. And we had 2 GSs on test. We had one GSTE that we rode on the road for a day, and then we had one trophy, which we had with off-road bias tyres with Karoo 3 or 4s on.
4s, I think it is now, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you get on the Karoo bike, on the off-road, and we're going to go off-road, and somebody came on the inside, I was like, my blind spot detection thing, because it didn't have have the radar. So when I set the cruise control, I was like, oh, I've got to do this, And then I went, the screen won't move because it had the standard screen. So even though the DNA of both bikes was obviously the same, it
ended up with 2 massively
and
different
if
machines.
you spec it, it can be so varied.
And let's face it, in the UK, we're not going to see any base spec bikes.
No.
Like they never bought base spec bikes in the old one, not for a good few years now. So they're all going to be pretty high spec. It'll just be whether you've gone rally or touring or sports, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. It all depends on what you want. But they've improved the fun aspect. They've improved the comfort, because now you can ride for longer, for further, for safer, because you've got the adaptive cruise and the blind spot, and you've got the emergency brake system. The fuel tank's 1 litre less, and a few people have gone, well, the range isn't the same, but it's a litre. A few people question the looks. Personally, I think it looks a lot better in the flesh, and the trophy bike I thought was like...
And I honestly don't think we'll know the true story about the looks until 5 years' time. It's one of those things, an iconic shaped bike has changed. The GS has never been pretty. we just get used to it. So I feel like give us 5 years and we'll go, actually, yeah, it looks really, really good.
But it's going to be interesting when you ride it, because like I just had a little taste of what it was like off road, a few little rocky places, and didn't do anything dramatic. So you're going to go to another level.
Dramatic. Hopefully not too dramatic.
Yeah, not too dramatic. And obviously you're going to have a little bit more time on the bike, and it'd be interesting once you're out there in Malaga, and you go, oh yeah, Chad said this, because you'll pick on stuff because you've ridden so many GSs.
It's almost like a big supermoto. Okay, the GS is fun. I mean, the old one was fun, but this is a whole new level of fun that the old GS never had.
But as a first impression for me getting on it, I was like, ooh, that's a lot less intimidating. It's a lot smaller, it's a lot lighter, it's a lot more nimble. In the dynamic, when you fit it in the Dynamic Pro, comes really alive. Like, fun, but still not KTM Multistrada, but way more fun than the old one.
Yeah.
And the suspension goes from this like wallow, almost like you go, oh, this is
squishy old.
Yeah, this is not going to work because it's wallowing way too much, but it's all controlled. And then when you go dynamic, the jump to dynamic is a big jump. Yeah, it's like we're old enough to remember when you went from mode to mode. You had a little icon. That was it.
Yeah, that was the only difference.
Yeah, and the feeling was like a little bit snatchier. This is like suspension changes, the throttle delivery changes, the power, and because they can change the suspension so much now with the new suspension, it goes from this like wallowing, really comfortable but still manageable bike to this really taut. It's like a really significant step.
Because it's the first bike with a fully active suspension system.
Yeah, we have to be.
People will always tell you they've got active suspension, but active damping's been around for decades.
Yeah.
Active preload has been around for 5 years properly.
Yeah.
But it's been around, by which I mean it can change the preload, which is basically the ride height of the bike.
Yeah. And
BMW's had a system that will set a ride height and maintain that regardless of what weight you put on it, as is everybody else. But this is the first one where it changes the actual spring rate.
This changes the spring rate whilst
how stiff. That's different to preload. That's how stiff the suspension is, and that is massive.
And that's what you feel when you change the modes.
So now, as you can see, we've got active lean angle, which works off the IMU. 38 degrees of lean, 0 degrees of lean. So sorry, I'm trying to. Whoop. Does it when I'm off. So there's the lean there, look. Pretty cool. And then I got the traction intervention there, which won't come on because I've got it switched off. And then the right hand side, I've got the brake pressure. See that go up there when I hit the brakes? It's cool, isn't it?
Honestly, you'll again. Hopefully, you'll get to the group that I rode with was reasonable. We rode it probably like a GS owner would. But what you need to do is
go mad. Right.
Dangerous riding competition, big air, go big, and enjoy it.
My work here is clear. I'll see you in a few days.